Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking closely at a film so many people love, Hayao Miyazaki's Kiki's Delivery Service.
Mhm.
It seems, well, pretty simple on the surface, doesn't it? You know, young witch, talking cat, moving to the big city.
Right? Simple and charming. But there's definitely more under the hood.
That's what we found too. We've been looking at this analysis. It's called Kiki's Transformative Flight, Maturation and Rediscovery.
And it really makes a strong case that beneath that charm, there's this really rich symbolic layer. It uses the film's elements, flying, the city, even the cat, to explore some pretty universal stuff.
Stuff like growing up, finding where you fit in, how you deal with society.
Exactly.
So our mission today really is to unpack that symbolic world. We want to explore what this analysis sees as the film's deeper meanings and hopefully help you grasp why Kiki resonates so deeply beyond just being a cute story.
Think of it as a quick way to get to the heart of those key insights.
Yeah, get ready. Because we're going to talk about how flying isn't just about freedom, how the city can be, well, almost a psychological maze.
And maybe most intriguingly, what it really means when Jiji, her talking cat, goes silent.
Okay, let's jump in. Where does Kiki start?
Right, so at the beginning, she's 13 years old,
Yeah.
and she's leaving home. It's this traditional witch's rite of passage,
And she's got basically nothing with her except her cat, Jiji.
just Jiji. Her main skill is flying, obviously, and her plan is to set up a flying courier service.
In this big seaside city she's never been to before.
Yeah, so it sets up that classic coming-of-age feel straight away.
But the analysis we're using, it pushes past that pretty quickly, doesn't it?
It does. It argues this isn't just about, finding an apartment and a job. It's deeply internal, and the visuals, the symbols, are key to understanding that.
Okay, so let's take the first big symbol, flying. The analysis says it's not just a skill she has.
No, it's more profound. It's seen as a visual metaphor for self-awareness, for expressing her true self, her identity.
But there's a catch, right? A paradox.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting. While flying is freedom, representing her being true to herself, it's also inherently tied to solitude, to separation.
How so?
Well, the analysis uses this phrase, ties to the ground begin to fade. As she flies higher, those connections, that sense of belonging to a place or community, they loosen.
Huh. So it's not all just joyful soaring. There's an isolation that comes with it.
Definitely. The analysis talks about her being in between, sort of stuck, neither fully grounded on Earth nor fully free in the sky.
Which sounds a lot like adolescence itself, that feeling of uncertainty.
It mirrors it perfectly. And you see in the animation, too, when she flies through storms, the turbulence isn't just bad weather.
It's her inner turmoil.
Right. The analysis really hammers this home. Flying here carries the painful process of constructing identity. It's not just simple fun.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's shift from the sky down to the city she lands in. The analysis calls its look neo-European. What are they getting at with that?
Well, it means it looks like a kind of romanticized, idealized version of European cities.
Yeah.
Think cobblestone streets, clock towers, that sort of thing. It's deliberately not Japanese in style.
So it creates a specific mood, maybe a bit foreign, a bit dreamlike.
Exactly. It gives the setting this feeling of being grand, beautiful, but maybe also a little impersonal, detached from her own background.
And the analysis argues this city isn't just scenery, it's doing symbolic work.
Yes, it's presented as a spatial metaphor for, well, society, for the individual trying to find their place within that larger social system.
So on the surface, it looks, orderly, maybe even safe.
But underneath, the analysis points out the reality Kiki bumps up against. Anonymity, feeling unseen, alienated.
Right, that anxiety she feels about not being recognized, not fitting in immediately.
And she has to learn to navigate these invisible social norms, not explicit rules, but just how things are done, the expectations.
The analysis notes that people can be kind, which they are, like Osono the baker.
Sure, there's kindness, but there's also a distance. People seem to value function, what you do, maybe more than just your presence as an individual.
So this interpretation calls the city a psychological labyrinth.
Her life there becomes a metaphor for that internal struggle we all have, trying to find our spot in what the analysis calls settled society.
And the place where her magic, her special talent, directly interacts with the society is her delivery job.
Right, that's the crux. Her flying, her innate gift, enters the world of production, of commerce.
And how does that play out?
Well, it starts off exciting, right?
Yeah.
Using her unique skill. But pretty soon it becomes routine, almost mechanical.
Deadlines, difficult clients, flying in bad weather.
Exactly. It gets loaded with expectations. And the analysis sees this as a powerful reflection of how any creative person, really, can start to lose their spark, their essence, when their talent is just serving the marketplace.
So her magic stops being magic and becomes a duty, a job.
Precisely. It's a really stark point in the analysis.
Yeah.
Creativity is fragile. It's about not losing yourself in the demands of the system.
And Kiki literally loses her ability to fly, her core magic, because it's become this kind of obligation.
That's the argument. It's worn her down. And that ties directly into another huge symbol, Jiji going silent.
Ah, Jiji. Okay, so the analysis says he's way more than just a cute sidekick.
Much more. He's interpreted as symbolizing Kiki's inner voice from childhood. That sort of intuitive security, a fundamental part of her identity back then.
So when he talks at the start of the film,
That represents her being in harmony with herself, having that clear, maybe slightly naive internal dialogue.
but then as she struggles with the city, the job, the loneliness, his voice fades. He stops talking to her.
Exactly. And the symbolism there, according to the analysis, is that she's losing connection with that childhood inner voice.
Yeah.
She now has to navigate this complex, contradictory, and quiet outer world on her own steam.
Without that internal security blanket, so to speak.
Right. And what's really crucial, and maybe a bit sad, is that Jiji never speaks again. Not even at the end.
Really? I hadn't focused on that.
Yeah, and the analysis argues this is significant. It suggests that growing up involves a genuine loss. You don't just get that childhood voice back. It's replaced by something else.
Something more mature, a deeper awareness.
A deeper, more independent awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn to rely on your own judgment, developed through experience.
Okay, let's talk about Ursula then. The painter Kiki meets when she takes a break from the city.
Right, Ursula lives alone in this cabin in the forest. It's a different kind of solitude than Kiki's loneliness in the city.
How does the analysis frame Ursula's solitude?
It describes it as integrating, not frightening or isolating. Ursula seems at peace, connected to nature. Her creativity seems to flow from that inner balance she has.
And there's that moment where Ursula talks about her own creative blocks, right?
Yes. The analysis draws a direct parallel there. Both Kiki and Ursula find their magic or their art disappears when that inner balance gets disturbed, when they're forcing it, or when they're disconnected from their inspiration.
So their external expression, flying or painting, is shown to be totally dependent on their internal state.
Precisely. And Ursula isn't presented as like a perfect role model Kiki needs to copy. The analysis sees her more as a mirror.
A mirror.
Yeah, reflecting the kind of mature, integrated self that Kiki could become. Someone who has found a way to live with their talent in a sustainable, authentic way.
And the forest itself contrasts with the city.
Big time. It's a spiritual refuge, calm and restorative compared to the city's demands and chaos.
Okay, so pulling these threads together, we get to the climax, really. Kiki losing her magic and then eventually regaining it.
It all comes together here. The burnout from the job, the identity struggles, feeling like her magic is just a chore. It all culminates in her being unable to fly.
And the analysis says regaining that ability isn't just about getting her powers back online.
No, it's much deeper. It symbolizes her rebuilding her self-esteem and identity. It's an internal victory, first and foremost.
Which might explain why the moment she saves Tombo, it feels kind of understated.
Yeah.
The analysis mentions this silent victory.
Yes, Miyazaki often avoids those huge, overly dramatic emotional climaxes. The analysis suggests this quietness reinforces the idea that the real transformation, the real growing up, happens inside. It's not about external applause.
And Jiji, in that moment.
Still silent.
Wow.
And the argument is his voice isn't needed anymore in that old way. Kiki's found her own voice, her own strength. She can make her own decisions now, guided by that hard-won self-knowledge.
So her magic comes back, but it's different now.
It's different. The analysis puts it beautifully. It's no longer just a simple childhood gift. It's become an extension of her identity.
Earned through facing the loneliness, the self-doubt.
Earning self-knowledge, learning to listen to herself, it's a sign of genuine maturity.
So looking at Kiki's delivery service through this lens, I mean, it really transforms it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shows how actions like flying or even just talking to your cat or doing your job, they all become these rich metaphors.
Exploring identity, freedom, loss, finding yourself again. It makes it so much more than just a kid's movie.
It's truly a story about rediscovery that works on multiple levels for all ages.
It really is. And it makes you think, doesn't it, about your own journey. We've all had those moments, right? Feeling adrift, maybe losing touch with something important inside ourselves.
Or struggling to balance who we are, our own maybe creative impulses, with what the world seems to expect or demand from
Yeah,
us.
navigating those pressures.
So if we take that final idea from the analysis seriously, that Kiki's regained magic is now an extension of her identity.
What does that suggest for us about finding and, I guess, nurturing our own unique magic in the world?
Especially when facing those pressures, the analysis describes the commercialization, the expectations, the potential for burnout.
What parts of our own true selves, our own magic, might we need to, well, reclaim or maybe redefine as we grow and change?
That's definitely something to think about. Maybe on your next walk through the city, or just when you're trying to figure things out,